What's up, y'all? So today we are going to make KHUA MEE. This is kind of like similar to pad thai, but this is like the Lao version of pad thai. It's sweet, it's savory, nice and green. I haven't done a voiceover in like a while, so I'm like trying to see, do y'all like my voiceover cooking videos or like my cook along ones? So let me know in the comments. So we're gonna start with the noodles. I'm using Pho Noodles. I usually use the green one, but I couldn't find the green one, so I just got these. I don't really know the difference, and you see me here trying to fucking fix this stupid ass bowl because it wasn't staying still. But I'm actually using 2 of these, so if you're only planning on using 1 package, cut all the ingredients in half that I used today. So you'll want to actually soak these noodles in water because the noodles are actually going to like suck up the water. You ever like drop your phone in the toilet and like you soak your phone into rice? That's kind of what rice noodles do, because Pho noodles, they're rice noodles. Kind of want to use hot water, but not too hot, because you kind of want the noodles to be like blanched, like not cooked, but like blanched, if that makes sense. And the next thing you're going to need some chuck beef eye. So for me, I washed my beef. I don't know about y'all, but you need to wash your fucking beef because that's just fucking nasty. Sometimes they put shit on it. Sometimes they drop the meat. It's like you just gotta wash off the bacteria. It's the same thing with vegetables. You gotta wash your vegetables the same way you wash your fucking meat. Okay, just rinse it. You don't gotta like wash it and dip it into shit. Just at least rinse it off. But what I'm doing here, I am cutting this up. I'm kind of just like cutting it up randomly. It kind of doesn't really matter. Because we're just going to saute this up anyways, but you kind of want them to be kind of like, you ever cut up bacon, you kind of want to look like that. Just put it onto the side, put it on a bowl, and I'm, you know, just going to massage my meat because just showing y'all how much meat I have. So what I have here is a handful of garlic. I actually have the garlic that's already pre-peeled because I don't like doing all that extra shit and peeling shit. So I'm using about 5 heads of shallots, and what I'm doing, I'm cutting off the ends and I'm peeling the shallots. For me, I hate cutting onions, and that's on a personal level. I just don't like that burning sensation. I don't like to do all that crying bullshit because, you know, mama ain't raised no bitch. So what we're gonna do is actually just gonna peel these up and throw them in the food processor. We're gonna peel them and, you know, I just keep them in a ball. You don't have to cut them too small. The less cutting I have to do, the better. So I usually put in the shallots in first. Because that's what actually needs to be cut more. And I put the garlic on top and just, you know, cut it up. And then it's gonna end up looking like this. It looks like a lot because it is a lot, because I like a lot of flavor in my food. So it's a whole bowl full. So we're getting over to the scallion. I actually prefer cutting my vegetables first. I always do all the cutting first. I cut up all my produce and I cut up all my meat because for me, I just feel like once you get all the cutting done, like it just makes everything go by just a little bit faster when you cook because everything's already all prepped. All you gotta do is just throw shit in. And then getting over to some cilantro. I'm just cutting up some cilantro. It doesn't have to be perfect because honestly, cilantro tastes like nothing. So we're moving on to the base of the sauce. So I'm starting off with some sugar. And I promise you that it's not coffee creamer. That's just what fucking ghetto people do. We just put random shit into random shit. We're using 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now with the sauce, this is the base of the sauce. Like I said, I'm just putting in everything that I know for sure that I need. I'll add more stuff here and there if I need it. And then shebang, we're adding some MSG. Only 1 scoop. MSG is optional. It depends on how fast you want to die. And then I'm going to move on to seasoning sauce or seasoning soy sauce. I think I'm adding about 5 tablespoons. I'm going to count along with y'all. So that's 2 already. And I'm getting to 3, 4, and then 5. Yeah, 5. And then we're going to stir this around together. Let the sugar kind of dissolve with it. And then we're going to add a little bit of fish sauce. Not too much. We're just going to add like a tablespoon and a half. Because we don't want it to be too fishy or too salty. It just gives it like a little bit of, you know, a little bit of tang to it. Then we're adding some oyster sauce. I'm adding about 5 tablespoons, but I'm kind of like being reckless with it, so it kind of looks like a lot. So I probably would say like 6 or 7. I typically use black soy sauce, but I couldn't find it. So today I'm using sweet soy sauce. It's the same brand, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. So we're just gonna make your thing a little bit sweeter, if that makes sense. So you see me struggling a little bit because I'm not sure if I just didn't open it correctly or like I just didn't know how to do it. So kind of see me just like say fuck it and just give up. I would say about the same amount. Probably 5 tablespoons. I really don't know, but my patience was running low. And then we get over to some chicken bouillon. If you don't have some, find yourself some. You don't have to use it. I'm only using a tablespoon. We get over to the crushed pepper. I'm adding about a spoon, maybe a spoon and a half. If you think that's too much, then you're probably a bitch ass hoe. If you happen to be a bitch ass hoe, then I suggest leaving it out. Eggs, we're getting about 5 eggs, I'm pretty sure. And then we're just gonna crack this open and put it in a mixing bowl. Now, I did forget to add some black pepper into the sauce. So I'm adding black pepper into the sauce and into the egg. We're gonna go ahead and beat the eggs until it's dead. And then we're gonna go ahead and add like a tad bit of fish sauce just to give it some nice color. We're gonna turn on the skillet. We're gonna turn it up to about a medium heat. Pour in some oil, pour the eggs in, let it cook up and fry up into the pan. Now you can kind of see me struggling a little bit with this because first of all, I couldn't find my wooden spoon, so I was trying to use my metal spoon to cut this in half without scratching my fucking pan. Because, you know, non-skillet pans and metal spoons, they just don't go together. So you want to just keep going back and forth and cutting it. It will eventually cook up. And it'll eventually like turn into 2 pieces. So you kind of want to keep on doing it until it turns into kind of looking like that. This is what actually helps you flip it easier. And it doesn't really matter because you're going to cut it up anyways. So kind of want it to fold over evenly like that. And then you're going to do the other side. You don't want this to break apart, y'all. I haven't perfected flipping an egg in like 1 piece, so I always cut it into 2 just for me. It makes it easier. Like, you don't want to make scrambled eggs, all right, because we're gonna do something with this to make it look pretty. So we're gonna move these eggs to the side. I'm gonna let them cool down, and you want them to cool down to kind of like a room temperature, kind of like cold-ish. So we're gonna go back to this skillet and then we're gonna add some more oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a drop, maybe a drop and a half of the sauce that I made. This is what's gonna help give the meat just a little bit more flavor. So you're gonna wanna kind of mix this combined. Then go ahead and add the meat that I just cut up. Just add all of it in. So our goal here is to brown the meat. You want to cook this up. You don't want to overcook it. You don't want to burn it, but you want to brown the meat. If you don't really know the definition of browning, it kind of just like leaves like this kind of char kind of like feeling or kind of texture on the meat. And then at this point, you kind of want the water to kind of evaporate, kind of let the oil and the meat suck up the oil. You can use this time to like wash some dishes, clean up your house, clean up the mess, whoop your child's ass and want to shut the fuck up while trying to film this video. You know, just keep yourself busy. And by the time you're done with everything, it will be ready to, you know, continue on and flip. Now we're getting back to the pan. You see how it's kind of browning up a little bit. So this is the point where you want to flip the meat and kind of like stir it around to get the other side kind of evenly cooked. So right here, I'm actually putting in a scoop of sugar. So I actually meant to put 1 tablespoon, but my dumbass fucking spilled some shit on the side. So I had to put 2 tablespoons, but it's okay. So the sugar is actually the thing that helps brown the meat up. Because, you know, the sugar kind of turns into caramel. Kind of leaves this coating on the meat that kind of, you know, crisps up the meat. So I'm going in and pouring a little bit more of that sauce that I made onto the meat just to give it a little bit more color. And just want to cook this up till it gets to looking like that. It's gonna look a little bit pretty. Kind of looks light right now, but once you take it out, it's gonna darken up a little bit. So you just want to put this over to the side, let it sit down. Now, the moment we all have been waiting for. Now I'm pouring in some oil. Now again, I'm using 2 packets of noodles. That's why it looks like a lot of oil. And then you need to get yourself some palm sugar. If you don't have palm sugar, you can just use regular sugar, or you can just find it at the Asian store, and they look like these little ball things. And we're gonna just throw this into the oil, let it fry up. Every time I'm cooking with palm sugar, I always just go with 7, just because I don't know why. I just feel like that's just a go-to number with me with palm sugar. You want to stir this pretty frequently because it can stick to the bottom of the pan. So you kind of want to be very active with it. You don't want to add any white sugar yet because you do want to add white sugar when it gets to a point where the palm sugar is able to break up, like it is in the screen. Once the palm sugar is able to break up like that, that's a good time to put in the regular sugar, because regular sugar does melt a little bit faster than palm sugar. So what I'm doing now, I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 scoops of sugar. I mean, you don't really have to do this, but I do it just because it helps even out the sweetness, because regular sugar and palm sugar has different tastes. So you want to stir this together and let it melt evenly together. And you see how it's kind of gooey a little bit. Your goal is to get like kind of like a caramel kind of gooey texture like it is right now. And this is a good time to put in your shallots and your garlic. And this is like the best part of cooking this, because the smell of the garlic and the sugar and the shallots frying up together, it's like such a beautiful smell. It's like heaven, sis. It's like, I feel like, have you ever had like an orgasm? That's kind of what it feels like. It's like an orgasm in your nose. We're gonna let this sit on the stove for a little bit, and while this is sitting, this is a good time to drain out your noodles. So you drain out your noodles, yeah, pretty much. And then over here, we're gonna pour in every single drop of the sauce that we just made, and go ahead and stir it together. Stir to combine, let everything come up. And then I kind of like my sauce to be a little bit more brown than this. And I did taste it, and it was kind of a little bit too sweet for me. So I did go ahead and add a teaspoon of everything that I added before. So I'm adding a teaspoon of the black soy sauce, adding a teaspoon of the seasoning sauce, a teaspoon of oyster sauce, and of course a teaspoon of the crushed pepper. So go ahead and stir this up, and then go ahead and get yourself some chopsticks and some tongs. If you don't have any chopsticks, just use tongs. What I'm doing now, I'm throwing in as much noodles as I can. I got in about half of it, and then you want to stir this up, and just stir it up until it is like, you know, shrinks up a little bit so you can fit more. So the technique that I do, I take the tongs and I pull the noodles upwards. What that does, that helps like separate the noodles, keep it like, you know, from sticking to each other. Because you know what, if you just stir it like randomly without having any type of technique, you're just gonna get a big fucking giant ball of noodles, and it's just gonna be so ugly. Everything's gonna be stuck together. You want the noodles to be loose. And don't worry about the sauce not distributing. It will eventually distribute with everything. All the noodles, all the sauce, everything is going to distribute together. The thing about stir frying with rice noodles absorb sauce very quickly, but because the sauce that I made has a little bit more oils, that's going to help the noodles and the sauce glide with each other. And what that does, it helps the noodles absorb the sauce slower. So that gives you a little bit more time to stir this around so the sauce can evenly distribute everywhere, so every single piece of noodle can get that nice brown color. So I'm throwing in the meat that I made earlier, and as you can see here, I'm actually taking out some of the meat because my stupid ass forgot to do, you know, garnish. Gotta take some for garnish to make it look pretty. So I'm taking some out, and I'm mixing the rest of the meat with the noodles so it can, you know, be all distributed everywhere. So turn off your heat and go ahead and add a pinch of scallion and a pinch of cilantro, and go ahead and add some bean sprouts on top. Do not worry about the vegetables not cooking. The noodles are so hot, it's eventually going to cook the vegetables, but it's not gonna like cook them where it's like soggy and nasty. It's gonna kind of blanch them so you can get that crunch, because you still want that crunch from the bean sprouts, because that's what's gonna give it that good texture. I don't know, people that eat bean sprouts understand what I mean by that, because nobody likes soggy ass fucking bean sprouts. It's just fucking gross. This is what it looks like when it is damn near done, sis. But this is what it looks like before I fix my camera, because my ass buys a camera and doesn't know how the fuck to use it, because I guess it was on the wrong setting where it had like the white balance was like up a little bit, so it made my food look kind of nasty. But we get over here to the eggs. So now we're gonna cut the eggs. This is why we want to wait for the eggs to cool down. We're gonna slice this up into nice pretty strips, and we're gonna use that to put it on top of the noodles to make it look all nice and pretty. You can cut them thick, you can cut them thin, long, short, whatever, how you like your shit. And then we come to the plating part, and we're putting it on a big nice tray. And in this scene, you see me here, I'm actually taking some of the noodles, putting it back in the pot because my dumb ass forgot to record this shit, so I had to fucking redo it. The gift of editing. We're gonna spread it out on this tray, make it look all nice and even, make the tray look full, all of that. Now we're gonna get the meat that I took out earlier, and we're gonna put it on top and garnish the noodles with it. Look it all nice. Make sure to, like, you know, spread it out evenly. And we're gonna get some scallion, top it off with some scallions, get some cilantro, put some on. Don't put too much because you don't want to be like eating a bunch of nasty shit. Then put the eggs on top. Then I'm gonna spread it out evenly, and boom, that last piece of egg was like the finishing touch. And this is what my noodles look like. I literally forgot to put bean sprouts on it, and I swear it would look so much prettier if I had bean sprouts on it, but I fucking forgot. You know what? The whiteness of the bean sprouts kind of like just makes the dish pop. You know what I mean? It makes it pop, but I forgot. And for the people that say the lighting doesn't matter and doesn't do any justice, look at this next frame. This is what my trash ass food looked like before I fixed the lighting. It really makes such a difference. Thank y'all for watching, and make sure y'all subscribe to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Let me know if y'all like these voiceover cooking videos, or y'all just like me doing like the little cook along videos, and let me know in the comments below what y'all want to see next.